So, hello students. Today we see the calculation of equivalent weight of different elements undergoes redox reaction. Okay. So first see. So 1 gram of a metal oxide. So there is no particular metal is given. So it is given that 1 gram of a metal oxide given 0.2 grams of metal. Okay, so we have to calculate the equivalent weight of the metal. So here metal oxide on decomposition giving its metal and oxygen. So on metal oxide decomposition so form ఏంటి మనకి metal and oxygen. ఇక్కడ మనకి amount of metal ఇచ్చింది. Okay, so the metal oxide లో ఈ metal oxide in a particular reaction given 0.2 grams of metal. So I have to calculate the equivalent weight of that metal. The metal oxide given metal plus oxygen. So in the oxygen it is not given, but it is given metal 0.2 gram metal. Actually total 1 gram of metal oxide. An important thing, 1 gram of metal oxide given 0.2 grams of metal and automatically 0.8 gram remaining. That is nothing but oxygen. Okay, so first we write the information. So actually there is 3 models are there. There is 3 different models are there to find out the equivalent weight of metal. So here metal oxide weight is equal to how much? That is just only 1 gram. So it produces some metal. So therefore we can write weight of metal. Okay. So the metal weight equal to 0.2 gram. So simply we can write the weight of oxygen. Okay. Oxygen weight. How will you get the metal oxide weight? Minus metal weight. So that is equal to 0.8 grams of oxygen. So there are 3 informations in there. Weight of metal oxide, weight of metal and weight of oxygen. See 3 informations we are able to calculate the equivalent weight of that particular metal by 3 ways. There is 3 methods are there. This is the first method. Okay. Okay, method 1. So method 1 in comparison so equivalent weight of metal oxide and metal. So what is the reactant? So manaki ichina formation oka reaction la తీసుకుంటే metal oxide giving metal and oxygen. Okay, see metal oxide on decomposition given metal plus oxygen. So this reaction manaki. So we know that so metal oxide metal comparison anukondi. So there is a reactant, this is the product. So reactant product ki we know the reaction, we know the relation. Milli equivalence of reactants is equal to milli equivalence of that product. Okay, so if we complete the reactant then imagine just metal oxide milli equivalents are exactly equal to the milli equivalence of metal. So we can equalize the equivalence. So milli equivalence mana equal cheyochu, but milli equivalence we have to get molarity. So molarity లేదు మనకి. So కాబట్టి సింపుల్ గా ఈక్వివాలెన్స్ చేద్దాం. Equivalence of metal oxide is equal equivalence of metal. Equivalence of metal oxide is equal to equivalence of metal. We know again. So what are the equivalents? So equivalence means we know that weight by gram equivalent weight. Okay, weight by gram equivalent weight. So equivalent of metal oxide and excuse me, weight of metal oxide by equivalent weight of metal oxide. Same equivalent of metal ante same. Sorry. Weight of metal by equivalent weight of metal. సో ఇక్కడ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేద్దాం. సో ఇక్కడ ఈ మెథడ్లో డ్రాబ్యాక్ యాక్చువల్గా సో ఫస్ట్ ప్రాబ్లం కాబట్టి వీఆర్ సీయింగ్ ద టోటల్ 3 మెథడ్స్. సో యాక్చువల్గా మనం ఫర్దర్గా ఫాలో అయ్యేది సెకండ్ ఆర్ థర్డ్ మెథడ్ ఫాలో అవుతాం. సో ఫస్ట్ మెథడ్ ఇస్ ద బేసిక్ మెథడ్. సో దీంట్లో సమ్ డిఫికల్టీ ఏంటంటే సో మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్ వెయిట్ తెలుసు మనకి, బట్ ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్ ఆఫ్ మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్ తెలియదు మనకి. సో ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్ అంటే ఎట్లా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తాం? ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్ మీన్స్ మాలిక్యులర్ వెయిట్ బై ఇట్స్ ఎన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్. మాలిక్యులర్ వెయిట్ బై ఎన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్. సో ఎన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ అంటే మనం ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేస్తాం దాన్ని యాసిడ్ మెజర్మెంట్. సో ఈవెన్ మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్ ఏ టైప్ ఆఫ్ మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్ ఇవ్వలేదు కాబట్టి ఎన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయడం పాసిబుల్ అవ్వదు. సో కాబట్టి దాన్ని ఇండివిజువల్గా ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలి. See, so weight of metal oxide is given how much? That is given 1 gram by. So equivalent weight of metal oxide is the problem. So asal ఏ మెటల్ తెలియదు, ఆక్సిజన్ అంటే ఇట్స్ కామన్ థింగ్. సో విచ్ మెటల్ వి డోంట్ నో ఇట్. కాబట్టి నార్మల్గా ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్ అంటే ఎట్లా ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేస్తాం? ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్ ఈక్వల్ మాలిక్యులర్ వెయిట్ బై ఎన్ ఫ్యాక్టర్. సో మాలిక్యులర్ వెయిట్ మనం ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయడానికి ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఎట్ ఆల్ పాసిబుల్, బికాజ్ మాలిక్యులర్ వెయిట్ చేయాలంటే మనకి ఫార్ములా అంటే ఆ మెటల్ తెలవాలి కదా. సో వీ డోంట్ నో ద మెటల్. యాక్చువల్ ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాల్సిందే మెటల్ ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్. సో మెటల్ తెలిస్తే డైరెక్ట్గా చెప్పొచ్చు మనం, మీన్స్ మెటల్ ఈజ్ అన్నోన్ ఇక్కడ. సో కాబట్టి సో ఐఎమ్ టేకింగ్ ఇట్ యాజ్ ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్ ఆఫ్ మెటల్ ప్లస్ ఈక్వలెంట్ వెయిట్ ఆఫ్ ఆక్సిజన్. So metal oxide equivalent weight equal, we can write equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of oxygen. So here again equivalent weight of equivalent weight of right oxygen, so not metal. So because రియాక్టెంట్స్ ఇక్కడ మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్, ప్రోడక్ట్ ఆక్సిజన్ అండ్ మెటల్. సో మెటల్ గురించి మనకు తెలియదు కాబట్టి 2 సైడ్స్లో మెటల్ తీసుకో. ఓకే, so equivalent weight of oxygen means weight of oxygen how much? So already we calculated weight of oxygen given as 0.8. What is the equivalent weight of oxygen? So oxygen equivalent weight. So how to calculate the equivalent weight of an element? So acids అయితేనేమో we know that molecular weight by basicity చేస్తాం. bases కి అయితేనేమో molecular weight by acidity. salts కి అయితేనేమో molecular weight by charge or formula weight by charge. oxidizing reducing agents కి molecular weight by number of electrons gained or loosed. ఇక్కడ ఎలిమెంట్ ఉన్నప్పుడు atomic weight by valency. So equivalent weight of oxygen equal, what is atomic weight? 6. What is valency? 2. So again ikkada mana substitute, that is 1 by, just I am writing it as E metal. Okay, so equivalent, okay, I am writing totally equivalent weight of metal plus, so what is this one? 16 by 2. Total we will get to that only. is 0.1. So on this, after all the total classification, so total multiplication 0.1 into equivalent weight of metal, that's 0.8. So on this overall calculation we will get equivalent weight of metal, we will get exactly 2. Okay, so on this calculation we will get equivalent weight of that unknown metal is 2. Now we see the second method. Okay, so generally we follow this method. So actually what was the reaction? So the reaction was, we know that metal oxide on decomposition giving metal plus oxygen. Metal plus oxygen. So ఇంతకు మనం కంపేర్ చేసింది metal oxide and oxygen, milli equivalent of metal oxide to milli equivalents of oxygen. So milli equivalents of metal తో కంపేర్ చేయొచ్చు, కానీ ఇక్కడ మెటల్ సో బోత్ అన్నోన్ కాబట్టి మనం సో మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్ మెటల్తో కంపేర్ చేయాలి. వి కంపేర్ ద మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్ విత్ ద ఆక్సిజన్. కాబట్టి మనం ఫస్ట్ మెథడ్లో ఈక్వలైజ్ చేసిందంటే ఈక్వివాలెన్స్. నార్మాలిటీ మోడల్ ఇస్తే మిల్లీ ఈక్వలెన్స్ చేయొచ్చు, ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. ఇక్కడ మనకు జస్ట్ వెయిట్ ఇచ్చింది కాబట్టి ఈక్వివాలెన్స్ ఆఫ్ మెటల్ ఆక్సైడ్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్స్ ఈక్వివాలెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఆక్సిజన్ చేసినాం. సో సెకండ్ మెథడ్ ఏంటంటే జస్ట్ వీఆర్ టేకింగ్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ ఓన్లీ ప్రోడక్ట్స్. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ మనకి ఇచ్చిన 2 ప్రోడక్ట్స్ చూద్దాం. 2 ప్రోడక్ట్స్ ఏంటిది? మెటల్ ప్లస్ ఆక్సిజన్. ఇక్కడ మెటల్ ప్లస్ ఆక్సిజన్లో కూడా ఈ మెటల్ రియాక్ట్ విత్ ఆక్సిజన్. ఇక్కడ ఫామ్ అయిన దీస్ 2 ఆర్ ఆల్సో follows the rule, that is equivalence rule. Take a milli equivalence of formed metal is equal to the equivalence of formed oxygen. So therefore we can write the step that equivalence of metal is equal to equivalence of oxygen. Equivalence of metal, equivalence means weight of metal by equivalent weight of metal. This is equivalence, this is equivalent weight. Okay, don't be confused. This is equivalent weight, this is equivalence. This is equivalent weight of metal is equal to weight of oxygen by so what is the weight of metal? So we know it is given that the weight of exact metal is 0. Metal oxide 1 only, metal ఎంత ఫామ్ అయింది 0.2 ఫామ్ అయింది. So equivalent weight of metal, just I am writing. Okay, equivalent weight of metal equal to what is the weight of oxygen? So what is the weight? 0.8. Equivalent weight of oxygen we have 16/2, that is 8. So we will get 0.1. So just on class multiplication we will get what? So therefore equivalent of metal is equal to 0.2 by 0.1, that is equal to. So this is a very simple method compared to the first one. So for next problems we follow this one. Okay, there is one more method is there. That is method 3. So it is compulsory to know the 3 methods, but it is your choice to follow which method for next problems. For this problem you have to write the 3 methods. Okay, so there is a direct formula is given. So method 3. So equivalent of metal equals equivalent weight of metal is equal to weight of metal is the direct formula. Weight of metal by weight of metal oxide so minus weight of metal into equivalence of oxygen equivalent weight of oxygen. So actually the second method is simple, దాన్ని మనం modify చేసి ఈ ఫార్ములా రాస్తాం. Okay, so what is the weight of metal? Metal weight is given as how much? So what is the metal weight? Given as 0.2. Okay, what is the metal oxide? Metal oxide given 1. What is the weight of metal again? Okay, 0.2. Means in the place of here we can write the metal oxygen, weight of oxygen right here. What is the equivalent weight of oxygen? Equivalent weight of oxygen again. What is the weight by equivalent weight? So equivalent weight and simple atomic weight by valency. Atomic weight by valency just we are getting 8. 0.2 0.8. 0.2 by 0.1 means that is equal to 2. Okay, so this is the direct formula. This is obtained from the second method. Okay, now we see one more problem. Okay, let's see the second one. So the 3 grams of metal chloride for exactly same problem. So the last problem given metal oxide, here it is given metal chloride. So in the 3 methods we can follow any of methods. Generally it's very easy to follow the second or third method. Okay, so a metal chloride decomposition giving 2 grams of metal. Okay, means 3 grams of metal chloride. So what is the first we write the total weights. Okay, so weight of metal chloride how much? Total metal weight metal chloride weight 3 grams. Then what is the weight of metal? So it is already given how much metal is formed. So weight of metal is just 2 grams. Then simply what is the weight of chlorine? So we know that metal chloride on decomposition giving metal plus chlorine. So in the last reaction of metal oxide giving metal plus oxygen, but here metal chloride giving metal plus chlorine. So metal 2 grams. So automatically what is the remaining? 3 minus 2 is equal to 1 gram. So weight of chlorine is 1 gram. So after knowing this we know that. So what are the reactant in manaki? Starting metal chloride giving metal plus chlorine. So metal plus chlorine and combinedly giving metal chloride. Kabdi metal and chlorine both are present in the products. And we can compare the milli equivalents of any 3 compounds. At the equivalence weight of equivalence of metal oxide equals equivalence of metal reaction, equivalence of oxygen reaction. Or ఇచ్చిన 2 products ఏంటి మనకి metal plus chlorine. So ఆ రెండు కూడా ఈక్వలైజ్ చేయొచ్చు. Equivalence of metal is equal to equivalence of chlorine. Okay, now we follow that. Equivalence of metal is equal to equivalence of chlorine. So ఇంతకుముందు oxide లో oxygen తీసుకున్నాం. Here it is exactly chlorine. What is the equivalent of metal? So equivalence means we know that what is the formula? Weight of metal by equivalence of metal. Just I am writing E metal, okay? Equivalent of metal. So what is equivalence means? Equivalence okay? Weight of chlorine. Don't write the Cl2. It is actually belongs to atomic model. Sorry, belongs to element. Equivalence of chlorine. Okay. See, weight of metal, how much? Weight of metal is already is given 2 grams of metal is produced by equivalent weight of metal is equal to. So weight of chlorine, how much? It's only 1 gram of chlorine by, what is the equivalent weight of chlorine? So for elements, it's very important. Equivalent of chlorine elements. Elements can be called atomic weight by its valency. Atomic weight 35.5. Valency and generally it loses, generally it gains 1 electron. So by 1. So simply, so what is the equivalent? Equivalent of metal is equal to, so that is 71 grams. Okay. So you have to try the third method. Okay. So see the next one. So actually this is the different when compared to the first two problems. So in this problem also we calculate the equivalent weight of metal, but not with a single compound. So in the like metal oxide, like for the metal chloride. Here the comparison of two compounds of a metal is there. Compounds of different compounds of one metal is given. There is no metal is given. It is given only compounds of two different compounds of a metal. See, so 1 gram of a metal nitrate is given 0.86 grams of metal sulfate, means total different compounds but same metal. So 1 gram of metal nitrate is giving 0.86 grams of metal sulfate. Okay, so there is no option. Okay, so compulsory we have to take the general method only. Okay, so what is the reactant, what is the product? The metal nitrate is the reactant, metal sulfate is the product according to this problem. Direct only first method is only suitable. So therefore we can write formula equivalence of metal nitrate is exactly equal to or equal to equivalence of metal sulfate, because nitrate is changed to sulfate. So equivalence means we know that weight of metal nitrate. So there is only a few number of problems are there. Thus we have to write the total thing. So you can actually balance the equivalent weight of metal nitrate equals again the weight of metal sulfate, equivalent weight of metal sulfate. So actually we don't know about the metal, but we are able to know about the nitrate. So nitrate is fixed NO3 minus, it treated as a nitrate. Sulfate and SO4 minus 2. SO4 minus 3 is known as sulfate. So actually మనకి equivalent weight of metal oxide ఏం రాసినాం, equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of oxygen. In the same way, in the place of equivalent weight of metal nitrate ఏం రాయొచ్చు మనం, equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of nitrate. In the place of equivalent weight of sulfate, we can write equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of sulfate. Okay. So weight of metal nitrate, we know that 1 gram. 1 gram. The equivalent weight of metal nitrate, just I am writing E. Equivalent weight of metal nitrate equals equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of nitrate is equal. What is our metal sulfate weight? 0.86 gram by equivalent weight of metal sulfate and then again equivalent weight of metal plus equivalent weight of sulfate. What is sulfate? SO4 minus 2. Okay. One by equivalent weight of metal plus what is the equivalent weight of nitrate? So here nitrate means equivalent weight of nitrate means same. So దేనికైనా మన equivalent weight లో atoms కి ఎలా find out చేస్తాం, equivalent weight of element by charge, its valency రాస్తాం. ఇక్కడ ఏంటి particular ion NO3 minus ion. So ions ki nothing but radicals etla calculate chestam, equivalent weight of these compounds, this ions equal to their formula weight by charge. What is the charge? -1. So -1 and +1 we take as a 1 unit. Okay, NO3 minus and what is the weight? Molecular weight how much is it? Nitrogen 14. So we calculate it separately. Okay, equivalent weight of NO3 minus some nitrogen 14. So we have to write the atomic weight only. So oxygen 48. So what is the charge? -1, but just only 1. That is equal to next 0.86 by, you have to write this in the brackets. Okay, or you can write the total step here also. Equivalent weight of metal plus, so equivalent weight of sulfate, equivalent weight, equivalence where equivalent weight where, just remember. Okay, sulfate means again its molecular weight how much? Sulfur 32. Each oxygen carries 16, that is 64 by the charge in the 2 units of charge, 4, 5, 6. That is 48. So on overall calculation, try to do the calculations. Okay, so equivalent weight of metal plus 48 cross multiplication. So 0.86 equivalent weight of metal plus 0.86 into 62. So make it equal 1 equivalent weight minus 0.86 equivalent weights of metal equal to so -48. This is so on overall this calculation, the equivalent weight of metal is obtained on the overall calculation, that is 38. Let's try to do the simplification. Okay, so this is the calculation of equivalent weight of metals in different redox reaction forming different compounds. Okay, so it is compulsory to maintain the perfect notes, very clear and perfect.